This is just a quick video going over some of the things we learned about changing improper fractions to a mixed number and reinforcing those concepts that we learned. I'm going to go over just the basic turning it from an improper fraction to a mixed number, as well as when you add fractions, and I'll do a story problem example too. All right, we are going to take an improper fraction and make it a mixed number. So an improper fraction has a numerator that is bigger than the denominator. And our mixed number is going to have a whole number with a proper fraction. So the first thing you're going to do, we're going to have to do some division here. So I'm going to write out my division problem. 34 divided by 7. And we're going to start from here, and then you're going to write it as a mixed number. So 7, how many times can 7 go into 34 without going over 34? 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 3 is 21, 7 times 4 is 28, 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, 35 is too high, and that was 7 times 5, so that leaves us 7 times 4. 7 times 4 equals 28, so we're going to subtract 34 minus 28, which equals 6. There's no more numbers to bring down, so that's your remainder. Now, to write that as a mixed number, your whole number will be the quotient. So this answer here, that's your whole number, because 7 goes into 34 4 times. And the numerator will be the remainder. So 7 goes into 34 4 times with the remainder of 6, because 34 minus 28 is 6. And the denominator stays the same. You're just going to bring over the 7. And now you need to check to see if it's simplified. 6 and 7 have no factors in common besides 1. So that means this is your final answer. Now you might see a problem like this. 34 over 2. So you need to see how many times 2 can go into 34 without going over. If you can't use mental math for this, let's write out the division problem. That's totally fine. So 2 goes into 3 one time. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract, 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring down that 4. 2 goes into 14 7 times, because 2 times 7 equals 14. 14 minus 14 is 0. So there's no remainder. So that means your final answer is 17. This is the whole number. There's no remainder to have to write a fraction, so we're done here. You are completely done with just the whole number. I also want you to notice that 34 and 2, those are both even numbers, which means you know this 2 is going to go into 34 evenly. All right, now we're going to look at another example here, another improper fraction. 18 over 4. Remember, it's improper because we have a bigger numerator than denominator. So you can always do it with this division. Or you can do it this way. You could just say, 4 goes into 18 how many times? How many times does 4 go into 18? Think of all the multiples of 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20 is too high. So 4 times 4 is 16. So you would write your whole number. So you would write your whole number, which is 4. 4 times 4 equals 16. So the difference between 18 and 16 is 2. That's your numerator. Then you bring over your denominator, 4. Now if these two numbers have any factors in common besides 1, you need to continue to simplify. What I want you to remember, because I've noticed a few people forgetting this, when you simplify these fractions, you cannot forget this whole number. Do not leave the whole number behind. What you should actually do first is bring it over so you don't forget it. So I'm just going to bring this whole number right here. Don't want to forget you, 4. I'm not going to forget you. I'm bringing you right over here. Then let's simplify. So what factor do these two numbers have in common? The highest number. It would be 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now this is your final answer. Not half. Not just 4, but 4.5, because that would be a completely different number if you forgot the whole number or if you forgot the fraction. So don't forget that. Now you might see some addition. So you might see 14 over 9 plus 3 over 9. Remember, when you add fractions that have the same denominator, even if they're improper fractions, you have to keep the denominator the same. So do not get all, focused and you're just like, okay, 14 plus 3 is 17, 9 plus 9 is 18, I'm done. No. Make sure, and this should be your first step. That way you don't forget. That's what I like to do. I like to just bring it right over here, because then I don't forget, I don't accidentally add it, because you might just be like looking at this, see the addition symbol, and you're just going ahead. You're just doing your work because it's adding. But I need you to remember to keep this the same. Just bring it over like this. Boom, it's done. I'm done with the denominator. Don't got to worry about it anymore. So 14 plus 3 equals 17. So our new fraction is 17 over 9. This is not completed. This is not your final answer. Remember, if your answer is ever an improper fraction, so if your answer is ever a numerator that is bigger than a denominator, then you are not done. So always check that, because this is not done. You need to make this a mixed number. You're going to do the exact same steps you did with all the other ones. The only difference is you had to add first. So now we have our improper fraction, just like we had our improper fraction here, and just like we had our improper fractions up here. So our new improper fraction is 17 over 9. So following the same steps, 9 goes into 17 how many times without going over? Let's start with 9 times 1, that equals 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Oh, that's already too big. So 9 goes into 17 one time. Now what's the remainder? The remainder is going to be the difference between 17 and then 9 times 1. So if 9 times 1 is 9, you're just going to do 17 minus 9, which equals 8, and that goes in your numerator. And guess what? You just get to bring this denominator right over here, and you're done, because these numbers have nothing in common, no factors in common besides 1. So it's simplified, 1 and 8/9. Now we have a story problem. So we have, what I like to do with the story problems is read the problem first, then reread it and work it out as you're rereading. So read it first just to get an idea. Mrs. Dembski poured 130 fourth cups of juice during the class party. Did she pour more or less than 30 cups? So you have to figure out first what number you're even needing to fix here in order to be able to compare. Well, this is already a whole number, so that's pretty easy. Let's look at this fraction over here, this really odd looking fraction. 130 over 4. That's improper. So let's read this again. Mrs. Dembski poured 130 fourths cups. That's the tongue twister. So I'm going to write that down. I like to write it down as I'm reading. It just keeps me organized. Okay, 130 fourths cups. And we need to know if she poured more or less than 30 cups. So the first thing you're going to do, especially when you have this big difference between your numerator and denominator, we're just going to go ahead and write it as a division problem. It just makes sure that you get everything you need to get. So let's write our division problem. We know 4 can't go into 1, so we're going to go on over to 13. 4 goes into 13 how many times without going over? 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So we're going to subtract 13 minus 12 is 1. Bring down the 0. 4 goes into 10 twice. 4 times 2 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. There's no other numbers to bring down, so your answer is 32 with the remainder of 2. So now you're thinking, okay, what do I do with this? I just solved this division problem. Now I need to compare it. Well, you need to write this as a mixed number. So remember, the whole number is going to be the quotient. So 32, the numerator is what's the difference, or the remainder, which is 2. And denominator comes right on over, 4. And we're going to simplify this because you see 2 over 4. Let's just clean it up. Let's simplify 32 and a half. And now back to the problem. It says, did she pour more or less than 30 cups? So I like to leave a space because that's where my symbol is going to go, and then write 30. So now we know the two numbers we're comparing are 32 and a half and 30. And when you compare two numbers, you always start with the whole number before moving on to the fraction. So let's start with the whole, 32 and 30. Well, we know 32 is greater than 30. So that means she poured more than 30 cups. So that's what your answer should look like. That's how you would answer this story problem. okay? No matter what the numbers are, if that's how this question is written, which is how most of them are going to be, these are the steps you need to follow. Basically, you just turn that improper fraction into a mixed number and then compare the mixed number with the number that it's asking you to compare it to figure out if she poured more or less than. Alrighty? So if there's anything else you want me to cover in any subject, just let me know in school or anything, and I can just make a video and put it on here so that way you can review it, look at it, especially as we get toward the end of the year and the summer. You need to make sure you're sharpening your skills for 5th grade because you're so close to 5th grade. So I know it seems like a lot of, especially in math right now, like a lot of strategies, a lot of different concepts and ideas, but they all relate to each other. They all go together, and that's why it's so important to master these, because then it'll just help you with everything as you go forward. So if you want to just brush up on those skills or get some more practice in, let me know and I will post something for you. I think that's it. Am I doing this right? You'll let me know, I'm sure. Bye.